Today, Georgia is expected to finish its second recount of the presidential election, but the president is still not satisfied, continuing his false attacks on Republican election officials overnight. But those election officials have clearly had enough. During a press conference yesterday, Gabe Sterling from the Secretary of State's office slamming the president and GOP senators for continuing to sow doubt about the election, even for inciting violence with their rhetoric.
A 20-something tech in Gwinnett County today has death threats and a noose put out saying he should be hung for treason. Mr. President, you have not condemned these actions or this language. Senators, you have not condemned this language or these actions. This has to stop. We need you to step up, and if you're going to take a position of leadership, show some.
Vaughn Hilliard is in Gainesville, Georgia, with the latest on that story. That was such a powerful statement, Vaughn. What exactly prompted this warning from Gabe Sterling, and have the Senate campaigns there responded?
Yeah, good morning, Chris. I think it's important to note who Gabe Sterling is. He is a state official that works inside of the Secretary of State's office. He's in charge of overseeing the state's voting system. In Georgia, voters over the last 29 days, ever since November 3rd, have become accustomed to seeing him on a daily basis, very directly addressing exactly what the counting processes look like across the state. And 12 days ago, when the state of Georgia certified its election results, he's been the one that has provided the recount updates on a daily basis at these very press conferences. And that is why his very impassioned press conference yesterday was so telling, because ultimately what set him off was a direct threat, as he said, made against a 20-something contract worker that was working on this election over in Gwinnett County, a suburb outside of Atlanta. There was a social media video that took off on elements of the dark web that showed this contract worker, and it was ultimately a threat, along with the noose, that were directed at this young man that put Gabe Sterling over the top. Because not only did he say that he has also received these threats, but as well as the Secretary of State, the Secretary of State's wife, as well as him. And yet the President of the United States himself continues to call this a fraudulent election in Georgia. And just yesterday morning, even said the state of Georgia should call off the runoff election slated for January 5th. Then you're talking about the Republican senators who are up for their own election, David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. Sterling called out those individuals as well, telling them to step up and push back against the president's calling of this a fraudulent election. We should note the Senate's offices of Perdue and Loeffler pushed back. A spokeswoman for Kelly Loeffler's campaign said, quote, "Like many officials, as someone who has been the subject of threats, of course Senator Loeffler condemns violence of any kind. How ridiculous to even suggest otherwise." Of course, we should note, not only is President Trump, but also Vice President Pence coming into town later this week to campaign for Senators Loeffler and Perdue here in Georgia. Chris?
Yeah, let us not forget they are being threatened because they are doing their jobs, which involves defending democracy. Vaughn Hilliard, thank you so much for that. Next, we're going to go to Capitol Hill. There are count them, three different COVID relief plans floating around. But can any break the months-long stalemate? I'll ask Jersey Congressman Josh Gottheimer.
Wow, a new Buick for me?
Two, James.
So a couple things here. One, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So that means that you must stop hate speech across the board. That's number one. Number two, these coronavirus bills have been out since, May 2020? The HEROES Act.